This week on Rewind Toys, we're going to be taking a look at a line that was inspired by HP Lovecraft, Dungeons and Dragons, and the Ghostbusters. It's an awesome property that might have been a little dark for kids, but that didn't mean we didn't love it. Today, we're going to be telling you all about the Inhumanoids. All right, so this toy/cartoon series was awesome. And it was dark as hell. Seriously, it was really warped. Creatures, undead beasts, and people mutating into skeletal figures right in front of you. Now, let's start with the backstory, which comes from the cartoon, but not in your typical cartoon fashion. You see, Sunbow Productions, alongside Marvel Productions, ran a series called Super Sunday, which went from about 1985 through 1986, and it featured 4 6-minute cartoon segments. Now, these segments were Bigfoot and the Muscle Machines, Robotrix, Jim and the Holograms, and the Inhumanoids. So oddly enough, all of those were attached to toy lines by Hasbro. I know, shocking, right? Anyway, across the run of 15 episodes, we received the story of the Inhumanoids. Now, those episodes would later be edited together to create the Inhumanoids movie, and that would lead to the full series. We'll get there. So the basics are simple. There's a group of scientists. They're forced to fight ancient evil monsters who have been imprisoned deep in the earth by a race of elemental protectors known as Mutors. I mean, it's just the same old story you've heard like a million times before, right? So anyway, all is well and good until a corrupt industrialist named Blackthorn Shore lets the Mutors out from their earthly prison. So the concept of Inhumanoids came from Marvel editor Tom DeFalco, who pitched the idea to Hasbro, who then brought it to writer Flint Dill, who would help further develop the mythology. It was Dill who would merge Lovecraftian visions into the fray, and if you don't see those Lovecraftian visions, I mean, just take a look at this guy right here, if you know Lovecraft at all. This is Tendril, and if you look at Tendril and you look at, like, drawings of Cthulhu, I mean, obviously, you're going to see this, right? So Hasbro really liked the idea, a show that combined humor and the macabre, add in a bit of environmentalism and social commentary, and give this all to kids. I actually appreciate that they understood the idea. Kids don't always need to be talked down to and pandered to. And any 80s kid is going to tell you, we grew up on dark and twisted stuff, and we loved it. There was an episode of The Inhumanoids where one of the creatures, whose name was actually Decompose, by the way, he turns a bunch of teenagers into zombies, and they like mutate right in front of you, and they look fairly frightening. I mean, the episode, they're not like scary eat people zombies, but still, they look pretty creepy. So Hasbro turns to Sunbow. They've worked with Sunbow on other properties like G.I. Joe and Transformers and My Little Pony, and they want Sunbow to help create the cartoon series. And they bring in designer David McDonald to help create the look for these toys. Now, McDonald would go on to help design a number of other properties, Dinosaucers, Cops, Crash Test Dummies, just to name a few. And by the way, you should definitely check David out on Facebook. His stuff there is fantastic. It's a great site. So go check out David McDonald on Facebook. So they toss in a few other team members who worked on the G.I. Joe line, like Larry Hama and Ron Rudad, and what you get are some remarkable toys and a really cool cartoon. So let's take a minute to look at those amazing action figures. First, we have 4 humans. There's Augur, a.k.a. Edward Augutter, Digger, a.k.a. Derek Bright, Hooker, yes, Hooker. It was the 80s, and they were marketing to kids. I don't think they saw it. I mean, I don't know how they missed it, but they didn't see it. So Hooker, a.k.a. Herc Armstrong, and finally Liquidator, a.k.a. Jonathan Slattery. The figure stood 6 inches tall, but only because they were wearing their exosuits. The dudes inside would have actually been on scale with G.I. Joe figures if they wouldn't have been in the exosuit. You understand. As for articulation, it was pretty good. Mostly neck, shoulders, hips, and sometimes knees and elbows. Knees and elbows. Keeping with the good guys, we have the Mutors. First, let's look at the rock guys. There was Granites and Greenock. These guys stood about 7 inches tall. They had glowing eyes. They're really cool looking. I mean, look great on a shelf for a collector's piece. This is why these things are sought after today. Magnacore also stood 7 inches tall and offered the ability to remove the front portion, showing the magma inside. And last, we have 3 tree-like creatures, Redwoods, Red Sun, and Redland. I mean, these guys look like bad guys. This is one thing I appreciate. These look like they could be bad guys, but they're actually the good guys. I just think that's cool, just for whatever reason. There were 2 vehicles, Terra Scout and Trapper. But the thing most collectors are obsessed with are those 3 evil Inhumanoids themselves. They were a massive 14 inches tall, and they included Metlar, Decompose, and Tendril. Now, these guys have moving limbs and moving heads. Decompose has a chest that opens up, and Tendril has extending, tendrils. Okay, so you guys have been coming here, you've been watching the show, well, some of you, and I appreciate all of that, but if you have just a second to go down there, slap that subscribe button, we would really appreciate it, and we love having you guys back. With that being said, let's get back to it. So a second series of figures was planned, with one character actually getting a prototype. That's Slither. I had to say it like that. There's 2 S's. You can't not. I mean, you have to do both S's for it to make sense. There were also designs created for Jet, Tank, and Nightcrawler. But alas, the show and the toy line were canceled. Why were they canceled, might you ask? Well, first of all, Hasbro had some unrealistic expectations. The line was selling well enough, but when compared to the juggernaut that was G.I. Joe, not so much. Now, was it fair to compare these two? No, it was not. Did they do it anyway? Yes, they did. It's also been speculated that since the toys were so intricate that the cost of production was a bit higher. Next up, we have a dark cartoon with evil monsters and at odd time slots on TV. See, originally it aired on that Super Sunday block, meaning Sunday mornings. Couple that with, again, scary creatures, and moms weren't always super excited to buy these massive toys for their kids. Marvel Comics actually released a series through their Star Comic label. They had a short 4-issue run that was abruptly canceled, which left a few unanswered questions. Then in 2020, IDW had a ROM miniseries called Dire Wraiths that actually made some reference to the Inhumanoids universe. They weren't actually in it, but they still referred to it. Unlike a lot of the properties we talk about here, though, there just weren't a bunch of Inhumanoids things slapped onto merchandise. It's not that it doesn't exist at all, just not to the level of most of the toys we talk about. Now, I'm guessing a lot of you watching this video were fans of the line, and some of you just got super excited because you just discovered a really cool new line, and rightly so. But is it an affordable line to collect? I guess that really just depends on your budget. For me, no, it is not. The big guys loose range from like $35 for the more common, all the way to $200 and $300. Again, that's loose. Carded or in box, you're looking at $400 to $1,200, and yes, I have actually seen them sell for that. It's important to understand that a show like this had a loyal following and has developed uber fans over the years, but the limited run means figures are a lot harder to come by. The big question is, will we ever get an Inhumanoids live-action movie? And the answer is, man, I hope so. Put someone like Sam Raimi or Guillermo del Toro at the helm with Weta and Henson Studios working together on the creature designs, and then lean heavy into the creepy factor. To me, they could do a really amazing film version of this, and then they could go back to some of those pre-existing molds and give us some cool toys again. What I can say is that as of right now, no studio has announced any plans to make an Inhumanoids movie, which is a bummer, but we can always hold out hope, right? Hey guys, thanks for joining. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you happen to be a fan of the Inhumanoids, or maybe you collect today, drop it down in the comments. Let us all know. And until next time, when it comes to these really obscure but really fun toys from the 80s and 90s, just remember, the hunt is half the fun.